Alright, pet spotlight for today will be on the Warbot. I'm surprised I haven't done this yet. Warbot is the character model for this character in this one mission of mine do on my other channel. So I'm kind of surprised I haven't done him yet, considering he's also the best tier 2 pet. He's so good, I was actually considering putting him on my tier 1 list, but he's just not as good as a tier 1 pet, but he's definitely like good enough to be up there. So he's like the best tier 2 pet. One of the best tier 2 pets, I should say. He's good enough to almost be tier 1. Anyways, where do you get this guy at? Well, you get him right here in Dalaran from like this little guy, or this little guy, the toy maker. He cost 500 gold. I got mine from the Mountain Dew promo they did 5 years ago, so I got it for free. Saved myself 500 gold. But you probably can't do that if you're watching this and you want to find out where to get it. Just buy it for 500 gold right here. You can also, if you don't want to go to Dalaran, there's also a toy vendor in both Orgrimmar and Stormwind that just kind of walks around. You'll have to look it up yourself. Wherever you buy a toy tray set, you can buy the Warbot. So it's either in Dalaran or in... Oh, looks like you can buy one in Talador too. Huh. Anywhere you can buy a toy train set, you can buy the Warbot. Let's see, looks like we got Dalaran, Stormwind City, Orgrimmar, and Talador. Talador, huh? I'm looking at Wowhead right now, so I just found this out. Apparently there's someone who sells it in Talador as well. Well, that's neat. Yeah, you just buy it from a vendor. I'm not really sure if you can buy it off the auction house, but that'd be kind of stupid considering you can just buy it from a vendor for 500 gold. Okay, so now that we have how to get him out of the way, why is the Warbot so good? One of the best tier 2 pets, almost a tier 1 pet. Well, because he's the best pet in the game to use Minefield. I think he's the strongest Minefield user in the game. Why isn't it searching Minefield? Do I have to seriously click it here? Yeah, here we go. Minefield, Dark Moon Tonk, 273 attack. Garbage. That's nothing compared to the 325. Pet Bombling, 244. Holy shit, that sucks. Garbage. Blue Clockwork Gnome, who can also use Minefield. Let's see the breeds, possible breeds available. Its strongest breed has 289 attack. Garbage. Little Smoky, 273, garbage. And Mini Thor, 292. Hard to get pet, still not as good as the Warbot. His other abilities, mediocre. Minefield is his only good one. There is another pet who has a Minefield-like ability called Santa's Naughty Little Helper, I think. Rotten Little Helper. Here it is. Booby Trap Presence. Lays down a ring of booby trap presence around the opponent. The next pet to swap into battle will take 706 mechanical damage. 706. He has about 8 more power than the Warbot. So his presence, which is basically exactly the same as Minefield, does 706 damage, while these only do 690. So technically, the Rotten Little Helper is the hardest hitting Minefield user in the game, but it's not technically named Minefield, even though it's exactly the same. Has the same exact effect, has the same exact cooldown, has the same exact type, which means it does mechanical damage, but it's not called Minefield, but it does about 16 more damage than Minefield, but it's still pretty damn close. It's only 16 damage. He still does about 700 damage with Minefield. Now, why is Minefield such a big deal? Well, because in PvP, switching is a big deal. If you're not switching out, you probably have a really good chance of killing your opponent's entire team with that one pet. Otherwise, you should be switching to better gain advantage on your opponent, unless of course you have Minefield out on you, where you can't switch out because you'll take 700 damage. Because 700 damage, the normal pet, a good pet with a nice amount of health, is 1400. You do not want to go below 1400 health. That's a really good amount to have. Anything higher is great. You have a high health pet. Anything lower is not too great. You have a squishy pet. Like Fiendish Imp. Yeah, he's a little bit lower than 1500. He's kind of squishy. Weebomination, 1800. He's tanky as shit because he has 400 more health. 1400 is the medium. You basically use that as like the vanilla health. Minefield does about 700 damage, which is half of 1400. Minefield does about half the damage of a normal pet. So, you know, it's like if you switch out, you're gonna lose half your health. That's why Minefield is ridiculous, because it basically eliminates an option in PvP where they can't really switch, and if they do, they're gonna get punished heavily for it. And if you pair him on a team with something like the Fiendish Imp, someone who can force your opponent to switch out, they're going to take all that damage immediately and take, you know, half their health as damage. For the Fiendish Imp, it'd be a little bit more than half his health since he has, you know, less than 1400. But if you switch into the Weebomination, well, that's still almost about 30-40% of his health. I don't know. I can't do that kind of math in my head. I just know it's less than 50, more than 25%. So yeah, it's not that big a deal to high health ones, but then again, nothing's not really that big of a deal. So Minefield is ridiculously good, and he has the highest attack power who can use Minefield, besides, of course, you know, the Grouchling, the little Rotten Little Helper. And Rotten Little Helper, he's not as good as a Warbot. What puts the Warbot better than the Rotten Little Helper? Considering, you know, his Minefield does 16 less damage. Well, for one, he's a mechanical type pet. The mechanical racial is the second best racial in the game behind the undead racial. Some might argue that it's better. Those people are wrong, but a point can be made that in certain situations it could be better. Since if your pet's able to survive after coming back to life, he'll get more turns out of his racial than the undead would, who's guaranteed to die after he comes back from his racial. Since you come back to life with 20% of your health, and if you have a really high health mechanical pet, there's a chance they'll be able to survive 2 turns after coming back to life, which is better than the undead racial, where they come back to life and are guaranteed to live for a turn. Mechanical pets, though, if they get outsped, there's a chance they'll just die during the extra turn they're given of life anyway. But that's still better than any other pet who would have just died from the damage that would have killed him in the first place. So his mechanical racial automatically gives him a huge boost over the Rotten Little Helper, who is a humanoid. Humanoids are sadly like one of the worst racials you can have in PvP because of how prevalent undead pets are, and undeads do extra damage to humanoids. Like, undead racial isn't bad or anything. It's actually pretty damn good on some pets, and there definitely are a lot of tier 1 humanoid pets. I say a lot. There's like 3, Nubisath Idol, the Fiendish Imp, and the Ore Eater. Well, I guess Crusher too, if you count him. Crusher is exactly the same as Ore Eater, so yeah, there's 4 of them. There's 4 tier 1 humanoid pets, and that's only because they're so good that their racial doesn't matter that much. Like, they're good despite their racial, even though they all take advantage of it. Like, Fiendish Imp's able to heal in the back row because of his racial, and anyways, this isn't a thing about humanoid racials. It's about the Warbot. I was getting sidetracked there for a second. So yeah, the Warbot has a better racial than Rotten Little Helper, which automatically gives him a nice little boost. He also has this other little advantage called extra plating. Extra plating is like crouch. Let me see. Where's a nice pet who uses crouch that you see often in PvP? The Fox. Fox has a nice little ability called crouch. The user lowers its body close to the ground, reducing all damage taken by 50% for 3 rounds. That's exactly what extra plating is. The user equips additional plating, reducing all damage taken by 50% for 3 rounds. 50% less damage for 3 rounds on a 4-round cooldown means you only don't really have it up for 1 turn, as long as you use it off cooldown. So, taking 50% less damage will allow you to sometimes actually get to live an extra ability during your turn of, coming back to life with 20% extra health. And you can also just switch out and just use them later, but that extra plating, any pet who has an extra plating option or a crouch option automatically has the potential to do really well, because crouch is really damn good. Like, crouch is one of the reasons, whatchamacallit, where's that pet at? I'm trying to look for him right now. I did a pet spotlight on him a couple days ago. Here we go, the Sporling. Crouch is the reason Sporling is a tier 2 pet. If it wasn't for crouch, he wouldn't be able to be a tier 2 pet, because this allows him to actually live long enough for his healing to come into play. Same reason for the Talbuk. Here we go. Tough and cuddly. It's exactly the same as crouch and extra plating. 4-round cooldown, reduces damage 50% for 3 turns. That's kind of the reason why I didn't put DevBot on the tier 1 list, is because really he's a really good pet because he has Minefield, which is really damn good, and because he has extra plating. But there's a whole bunch of other pets that would also probably have to consider tier 1 as well, because they also have the 50% less cooldown and 50% less damage for 3 turns. That is the sole reason that they're compatible. I mean, viable as well, because Young Talbuk's pretty damn good against undeads, because he has Flurry and Tough and Cuddly. Like, these 2 abilities alone make the Young Talbuk good, a nice tier 2 pet. Warbot is a great tier 2 pet because he has extra plating and Minefield. Like, he has a little advantage over everything else, but you know, then I'd have to think about, well, should I just include every pet that has a 50% less, damager? You know, if I included Warbot, I'd have to include Young Talbuks and the Sporling, Sprout, because they also have, a crouch and an extra ability that does really well. Sporling, Sprout, and the Alpine Fox. I was like, but they're not as good as the other tier 1 pets on the list. So I was like, never mind. Even though Minefield is definitely better than all those abilities, and extra plating is really good, I just decided to not. Because, I mean, he's great. He's really good, but if I included him just because he had extra plating on top of Minefield, like, because most of the tier 1 pets are on my tier 1 list because they do, like, a whole bunch of things very well, or they have, like, a combination of things that make them kind of OP. Warbot, he has 2, and one of them is something that a whole bunch of other pets have, so I didn't really include it. That's why I don't consider him a tier 1 pet, because he does something a whole bunch of other pets can do that also make them, nice tier 2 pets. But he just has an ability that's a lot better than some of the other things. Minefield is just a really damn good ability, but just not good enough, because your opponent can literally just sit there and wait. Minefield won't go off after its duration's over unless your opponent switches out. So as long as they just sit there and don't switch out, they won't take damage from Minefield, and it will just be a wasted turn. So there are ways around playing against a Warbot. Okay, so then we got that out of the way. Minefield, extra plating. I was trying to stress the, why extra plating's good. Just trust me on it. It's really good, because I just kind of went through and explained it all. Because if I just say trust me on it, it's really good, it's like, why should I trust you? Well, I just gave a whole bunch of reasons for it. Just try it out for yourself and you'll see how great it is. Don't take rocket launcher. Only new players who use Warbot use rocket launcher. It does about the damage you'd have from 2 missiles. Also, don't take batter. He's too fucking slow for batter. Use missile. Alright, so yeah, basically you only take missile. You don't want to take batter. Unless you have like Dazzling Dance on your team, and if you do, I don't know why you'd have Warbot on your team. It doesn't really fit on that kind of team, but I guess you could. Then you could take batter. He does a lot of damage if you use batter, because he is a power type, so he does hit pretty hard. So yeah, that's what the Warbot does. He hits hard with, his Minefield. He can live for a long time. He's a tanky ass pet because of a combination of his racial and the extra plating. So if you want to go against your opponent's pet that's hitting you really damn hard, like, I don't know, a Nexus Whelpling or something. Yeah, let me pull out the Nexus Whelpling who use like Arcane Storm, Mana Surge. Actually, no, Warbot is a really damn good counter to the Nexus Whelpling, because he's a mechanical type, so he takes less damage from magic types abilities, even without extra plating. I guess that's a bad example. Like an Ore Eater. There we go. Ore Eater. Ore Eater hits pretty damn hard with Body Slam and shit. Yeah, just pull out the Warbot, use extra plating, and you'll be able to go toe to toe with him and just spam missiles. Obviously the Ore Eater will be taking less damage than you, but you'll still be taking a lot less damage because extra plating works really good against teams that use, hard hitting abilities. I mean, it works good against anything because it's just 50% less damage of literally everything. So it's not like he's going to be taking less damage from other stuff. It's just he'll be taking less damage than your other pets would if you have extra plating up. So he's good against your opponent's hard-hitting teams. Just because you're going to take the damage anyway, you might as well take 50% less of it. And if it's a huge ability that would just kill some of your other pets in one hit, it won't do that to your Warbot. Plus, Minefield is so good. Half your opponent's health gone if they switch out. It kills, just straight up murders squishy beast type pets if they switch into it. I've seen it happen before. Death Adder hatchling switching into Minefields, they die. It's pretty funny. Alright, so I think that's it. I think I just spent a long time trying to sell extra plating to you, just because I see a lot of people use Warbot, don't take it. And it's like, do not take a rocket. Extra plating is really damn good. It's so good, in fact, that I almost wanted to put him on my tier 1 list because he had extra plating and Minefield available to him. It's just really damn good. And then just take Missile. This is like the thing you should use every time you use the Warbot. There's no real reason to change it unless you don't want to use Minefield for some reason. Toxic Smoke is a viable dot. It does decent damage and has decent dot damage after you put it out, and it stays in through swaps, so it just stays the current pet. Toxic Smoke is not a bad dot. It's just Minefield so good. Alright, that's it.